to realize those moments, those mundane moments we can make significant in somebody's life. Those simple moments, then we can make a difference. To create that showtime experience rather than just meeting an expectation. The big difference between seeing the bigger picture and not, I often find, is a word called justa. You ever heard the word justa? I mean, I made it up. Just curious if you heard it. You haven't? Oh, I'm sure you've heard it. I'm just a freshman. Oh, I'm just a student. I'm just a new member. I'm just here for my first time. And it happens in all organizations, in all schools, and whenever someone uses that phrase, it bothers me because it belittles the impact that we have. Belittles it. And it's fascinating what one person can do, the one difference that you can make at any given moment in someone's life. You have no idea. The spotlight could be on you and maybe it's showtime. How I learned the difference, kid you not, I had to go to a hospital one day. I was asked to go perform in a hospital. And they share with me, there's a 9-year-old boy, his name is Nathan. He's not doing well. Would you go to the hospital and perform? And I gotta be honest, I didn't want to go. I was scared. I was just a kid magician. What am I really gonna be able to do? A couple of card tricks? Make a difference? But it's also the kind of thing where you can't really say no. So off I go. I go to the hospital, had a couple of tricks, couple things in my pocket ready to go, and I walk into a hospital room. And it was unique because I didn't see Nathan at first. It was in the oncology ward. I had to get all scrubbed in and do this stuff first. And I go into the hospital room. And on the one side was the mom, the dad, the sister, and then there was a priest. And I was like, whew, the butterflies in your stomach were just going nuts. It was hard. And I introduced myself to them, and they finally said, well, turn around. And there's Nathan. He was on the other side of the room in a bed with all the machines and all the tubes, and it was rough. And he kind of looked at me with like this cautious wonder. He had no idea who I was. Didn't know if I was a doctor, what was I was doing in the room. And his mom finally stands up and says, well, Nathan, this is John, and he's a magician. And the coolest thing happened, I kid you not, man. A little boy sits up in his bed. His eyes just wide like this, get all big. And I learned he was on a respirator. He couldn't talk to me. He was like, and he sticks out his hand and shakes my hand. And it was like the room just began to change. It was a different feeling because it just being a magician. I did a couple of simple tricks for him. I'll show you one. Actually, you can probably see this in the cameras. We'll do the money trick. Yeah, perfect. Don't blink. You don't want to miss this. Keep your eyes on the corners. This is a little return on investment for coming out here to FFA. If you get it just right, you can actually see them change. Not just the one, but the $1, $2, $3, $4, $500 bills. Just like that. I'll take it. No. Who wants the 100? No, I'm kidding. Sit down. I did the $100 bill trick. I did a trick where I put a red ball in my hand, one in his, mine disappears, and there's 2 in his. And the coolest thing happens, like now, like the mom and the dad and the priest are all starting to come around, and they're like around the bed watching this little show. And it was like a real show moment. I was feeling better about myself, and I did a card trick. And it's a weird card trick. I had to borrow a credit card. So I borrow a credit card from the priest. Totally silly. Who's going to steal from the priest, right? And it's an odd trick because the trick goes like, I pull up my credit card. Mine's got a photograph on it. And we put the credit cards aside. It's one of those security images. And then he picks a playing card. His playing card completely vanishes to get to the end of the trick. And I'm like, well, let me see my credit card. And the photograph is gone from my credit card. It's vanished from the plastic. I say, well, check out your credit card. And the priest picks up his credit card, turns it over, and the back of his credit card, it's a sticker, and it's a photo of me holding his card going, meh. And the room like erupts. They're passing this thing around. Nathan's eyes are like this. They're as wide as can be. He is totally into it. And I did one final trick, one last bit. And since we got the setup, I'll show this to you as well, and I will never forget it. I had Nathan pick a card, and I wanted him to do the trick on his own. And he picked the 7 of hearts. And just like the $100 bill, I said, Nathan, why don't you go ahead, put your name on the card. That's to make sure we don't have extra 7 of hearts in there. And he did all the rest himself because it was just about that experience rather than me doing a magic trick. And I'll show you what it looked like. We just did it a couple times. I said, Nathan, take the 7 of hearts. I want you to put it anywhere in the deck. He puts it in roughly. He turned over the top card. I said, cool, now do a little magic pass. He touches the top again, and the 7 of hearts comes right back to the top. Yeah, what? No, watch. We'll do it again. Trust me. The priest said, do it again. Nathan puts it a little bit deeper into the pack this time. I didn't do any tricks yet. I said, Nathan, it's all about you. Do the little magic, touch the top, turn it over. And again, it was the 7 of hearts. And now we're like putting this card, he's like, put it under the drink. Put it under the pillow. Anywhere we put the 7 of hearts, it would always end up on top of the deck. He had so much fun with it. And how we ended it, I take a rubber band, I put it around the deck, and I throw it to the ceiling. And all the cards come like flying down, just tumbling down, except one card. And it was Nathan's 7 of hearts stuck to the ceiling above his bed. And that's where I left. I left the room with all the family giggling and laughing and just amazed at this simple little card trick with the 7 of hearts. And you'd never realize the impact that can have. And in fact, I didn't realize it until almost 5 months later. 5 months. I'm at church with my wife. And there's that priest. Totally coincidental. He was like the guest speaker of the day. What do you call a guest priest? He was the guest priest. Yeah. And I had to go up and I had to ask and see if he remember who I was. And I went up to him. And I'm like, sir, I don't know if you remember who I am. My name is John. I was in the hospital with a little boy named Nathan months ago. We were doing that. And he didn't say anything. He just looked at me and he had me by both shoulders and was just staring at me, just staring. For a very uncomfortable period of time. And I'm trying to explain myself, and without saying a word, I kid you not, he goes under his robe, pulls out his wallet. He pulls out a credit card. He flips over his credit card, and there was a picture of me. And he said, you have no idea how many people I've told about the 7 of hearts, how many people I've told about what happened in that room. I've written services about the sermons. I've shared it with families who have lost children, who are about to lose a family member because of that simple moment and how significant it was for that family at that time. What he shared next was a little bit of the harder part. He shared with me that 8 hours after I left, that Nathan passed. And then he shared that the 7 of hearts from the ceiling, the family put in his casket. Because to them, it resembled the last happy moment they had as a family. And what do you do with that? I didn't want to go. It was just a card trick. It was just a 7 of hearts. And you think about it, we've all had these moments where those little things we can do. We can take one more step. We can hold the door. We can invite someone. We can encourage someone. It's those simple moments that can have impact. And you may never realize it even happened. If I wouldn't have bumped into that priest, I would have had no idea. It was meant to be for whatever reason. The big question is, what's your 7 of hearts? It doesn't have to be a magic trick. We all have a gift that is unique to us. And it's your turn as leaders to share that gift with as many people as you can. You're not just students. You're not just freshmen. You're not just first time. You're not just graduating. You're not just a college student. You are who you are. And if you hear someone use those words, correct them, encourage them. So when you go out sharing the rest of the conference, look for those opportunities, those simple moments to create significance, because that's looking truly beyond the frame.